everybody. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Black Menaces podcast. Super happy to be here. We have an amazing guest on the show today. I am here. What? I'm so confused.
Yeah, you want to redo that?
Yeah, I'm gonna just redo it. We're just gonna cut that.
We're gonna
part
redo.
out. All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Black Menaces podcast. I am your co-host Nate, and my other co-host is
Rachel Weaver. Happy to be with you guys again on the podcast.
Indeed. We have an amazing guest here on the show with us. This is we go back a few years. He's like my little brother.
Yeah, man.
The G Unit, the G Force, Triple G, G String.
Oh, come on.
I'm dead.
Man, you was doing pretty good until that last one.
Right. I'm like, what?
My main man, Garrett Whiting. Say
Yes,
what's up
sir.
to everybody.
What's up with y'all, man? Happy to be here. Shout out to these two for letting me on. And, you know, I'm happy to be here, man.
Glad to have you on.
Yes.
Swagger and all.
Yes, sir.
So to get it started, Garrett, well, actually, hold on. Before we do that, we're going to jump into our Menace moment because we're very excited.
So excited. Got our first Menace moment emailed in. So everyone, please email us with your Menace moments. So I'm going to share our first one today.
Mm-hmm.
So we can share their name, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I think he wanted the boys to remain anonymous.
Okay, but
I think he's okay being shared.
So okay, well, we'll just keep it anonymous.
Yeah, we'll keep it anonymous.
So this is the email we got. I am a teaching assistant at a public performing arts high school in the city of Cincinnati. Fun fact, I just so happen to have graduated from this high school in 2014, and I'm currently the president of my high school alumni association. My school was also the first public school in the city of Cincinnati to be created with the sole purpose of integrating students of all races for arts education, and is currently the first K-12 public school for the arts in the country, period. I also have the honor of mentoring 7th and 8th grade boys through a district-wide program called MORE, which the acronym MORE stands for Men, Organized, Respectful, and Educated. While the program, yeah, period, right? Love it. This is reminding me of like me growing up, but I love these programs, these kind of things. They are very impactful. I still remember any program I was in from like fetus to now. Okay. While the program on a district level is aimed at primarily African American young men and helping them navigate their personal lives as well as academics, the 4th through 12th grade program at my school operates a little differently. And MORE, we are a brotherhood or I don't know that, or a miniature fraternity or diverse young men who are not only dedicated to being young men, who are organized, respectful, and educated, but also academically accountable, fiscal responsible, socially aware, and are ambassadors for our school through our outreach and volunteerism. Not only do the young men wear shirts and ties on meeting days, but they also have created a healthy and open environment for all young men to strive for better. I first got involved with the program in 2018/2019. Not only were we in the midst of a youth gun crisis in Cincinnati, but we were in the rising heat of Black Lives Matter and the reeling from the police shooting of Sam DuBose just 5 minutes away from our school. Dang.
I didn't hear about that one. I didn't know.
You have to get your mic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's the only way we'll pick it up. Sorry.
We're
helping Garrett understand the way it's working here on the
It's-
podcast. Okay.
It's working.
Every year, the district had the boys participate in the typical classroom Black History Month projects where they wrote and presented on a different person in Black history. Our school even puts on a Black history show to go along with it. However, in the summer of 2020, after the death of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd, protests in Cincinnati erupted. My 7th through 12th grade students wanted to call an emergency meeting to talk about it. In the midst of our conversation, my boys made it clear to me that while they knew the stories of the most recent deaths, they had no idea about the origins of the Black Lives Matter movement, nor did they have any understanding of the history of police brutality in the Black community. I decided that year, with parent permission, we were going to skip the typical Black History Month projects and zero in on the impact of the Trayvon Martin case in 2012, and the boys would host an open student forum to teach each other, but also have a real conversation about race and police brutality and how the Trayvon Martin case in 2012 has formed the Black Lives Matter movement that we see today. We analyzed the Trayvon Martin documentary, Rest in Power, Trayvon Martin story, and the boys were so captivated that they even started having conversation with their peers about Trayvon.
All right.
All right.
All right.
The
what
day
we like to see.
before, the day before our students, our open student forum, we were told that we wouldn't be able to host our forum because it could be seen as controversial.
Boo.
What?
Come on, man.
Boo, tomatoes.
Wonder who made that decision.
That's a cop out, though. You already know.
While I tried to fight back, and the call was coming from above me, and unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to host the event after school the next day. To my surprise, I get called from my classroom because, quote, my boys are making some kind of stir in the lunchroom, unquote.
Ooh.
Not only had my boys dressed in hoodies like Trayvon, but they had gotten majority of their peers to sign a petition for the event to continue.
Let's go, activism.
Okay,
Come on.
love
All
it. Come
right.
on,
That's
you
what we like to
young
see
men
in
of
the youth.
more.
gather us, okay?
Shout out to them.
That's
Right.
what we like to see.
Needless to
You.
say, the powers that were being allowed, I guess they allowed the event to take place. Sorry, that was worded weird. Every year since, I have taught a different kind of part of recent Black history, from Colin Kaepernick protesting to Breonna Taylor's death, because it is extremely relevant to their reality. While I am worried about the future and the laws being created around what can and cannot be taught in schools concerning race and identity in this country, I will forever remember that menace moment with my students and the looks of the faces of those who tried to stop us. I know that most of my boys, being young men in the MORE program, is already an act of them becoming beacons in their community with the spirit of them being a menace. And he attached some photos for us to see.
But we can't share
Yeah, we're not
those.
sharing them, but just for us.
Man.
But that is awesome. I love that story so
That is.
much.
Shout out to the young men of more. Men organized, respectful, and what?
Peaceful.
And educated?
Educated.
Organized,
But they are
respectful.
peaceful.
That's what I mean.
We love this. We
Yeah,
love
that was
this.
great. I love hearing about people in high school and young people seeing the importance of standing up, especially, that's kind of like our duty as Black people. I feel like even at a young age, we are called to speak up.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful example of true menace activity. They dressed up in the hoodies like
Yep.
Trayvon Martin and went out to their fellow students and said, "Here, sign this petition." And the powers that be had to listen, right?
Yeah.
They allowed that event to take place. It's crazy that they were going to stop it. Well, actually, no, that's pretty
Yeah.
normal. That's to be expected. But it's just amazing that they went and did something about it, right?
Yeah.
At such a young age, because these are middle school kids.
Yeah.
So good for them, and I hope they hear this, and I hope they
Yes.
know that we, the Black Menaces, admire them and
Yes.
respect
And
them.
respect. We give you
Shout
your
out to them,
props.
Yeah.
And I love it also because it shows just how impactful on a local level, right? Like, we don't all need to be at MLK or Rosa Parks or doing these things. And I mean, we might not make a Black Menace TikTok account that goes viral, but we can all make change in our own communities. And that's something that I hope they remember for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. Another thing that I loved about this is how this gentleman is teaching recent Black history.
Yes.
When you think about like the way that we've been conditioned to think about Black history is the civil rights movement, and then after that it stops.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
that's where
It's like
racism
because
ended.
literally, like in my head, like when people say Black history, that's what I think of: civil rights and previous. But I mean, even right after that, you had Jesse Jackson. He was the first Black man to run for president.
Period.
Then you
Yeah.
had
He's
this is
in
the
Illinois,
70s.
by the way,
Then you
my
had-
state.
and he grew up. Michelle Obama was best friends with his daughter.
And
They grew up in like the same
and
neighborhood.
where? Chicago, my
In
hometown.
Chicago, yes, ma'am.
Period.
So there's that. Then you got Shirley Chisholm, who was the first Black woman to run
Period.
for president. Then you got you got all kinds of athletic events, athletic accomplishments.
Where we
Yeah.
dominate.
Right. We
Right.
haven't even talked about
Dominate
our
the
Michael
sports.
Jordan,
Yeah,
Serena
right.
Williams,
You know
Oprah
what I mean?
Winfrey.
Right, they're
It'd
all
be crazy
part
if
of,
we weren't.
right. Oprah Winfrey, was she the first Black billionaire or Black female billionaire?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe so. I don't know. We
And
got her.
Then we got
sounds
Serena
right.
Williams, who is the highest paid athlete ever.
one of them. I don't know.
I'm
I don't
pretty
know if it's
sure.
ever.
I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
I don't
Okay,
know.
I don't know.
Okay, they said, wait a minute, Rachel. Now don't be saying stuff that you
Yeah.
don't got basis
I was
in.
gonna say, you
I'm
got-
sorry.
all this
After
recent
I
history.
saw
You want to fact check that?
after I saw what do you call it? The movie about their father,
Mm-hmm.
What was it
Oh,
called?
yeah.
King Richard.
King Richard. So
Yeah.
good.
I still haven't seen it. I need to.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, after I saw that, I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure she's like top paid athlete.
I can believe it. She's a powerhouse.
If it was female, yeah, because Lionel Messi be making
That's true.
Oh, you're
crazy
right.
money. And then you got
Okay.
LeBron
Maybe
James,
it's tennis player.
That
Yeah.
I can see
Okay,
that.
I'm gonna look this up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get back to you on that one.
Sorry, guys.
But yeah, you get so I mean all this recent Black history, and don't even get me started on the Obamas. Right?
Okay,
recent
don't
Black
even talk
history.
about that. Is
Mhm.
they will forever. That is the Black community's president.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
forever.
Rags to
absolutely.
riches. That's
Forever.
the
Literally,
original
no,
Rags to Riches.
he literally, black people still speak like he is the president, and it's my favorite thing. Like if you go around old
Man.
black people, they have Obama next to Jesus.
Mhm.
Like
yeah, every black, if you go to any
Literally.
old house,
man.
any old
you
black
gonna see the
grandma's
old-
house.
dude,
Man.
that Obama plate. Everybody got that plate.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
That's
that picture
facts,
of the inauguration.
Yep.
But the big man don't play upstairs though, man. I don't know about that.
For real. You have
But no,
Black
you ain't
Jesus and the Obamas.
No, literally, that is how black
Like,
Uh-huh.
black grandmas see it, and I love
That's-
it.
That's the black equivalent of the first presidency in their home.
Yes,
That's-
yes,
the
that's
the three
celebrate.
leaders of the church. Yeah.
yes.
Man, yeah, but yeah, so you got them. I mean, so much. We still making history. This past Winter Olympics was the first black woman. I don't know if she's the first black woman to participate, but she was the first black woman to medal in speed skating, right? Which I
Yeah, definitely metal.
right, I'd never even considered that, black women were out here speed skating. And she just started in 2016. So she went from like not, they show videos of her. She couldn't even stand up on the ice. She was wobbling
Dang, I
all over
didn't
the
know
place in
this.
2016 to winning a medal in 2022, right? So
And we're not even talking about Gabby Douglas and Simone
thank you,
Biles.
right? Thank you. Just out here, just doing stuff that's never been done before, literally.
And
So
that's
anyway,
on period.
Black history is ongoing, right? It's not something that stopped with the civil rights movement. So people, please educate yourselves. Please learn and take note of the history that is occurring all around you. I hope to one day be a part of the annals of Black history myself.
Right,
I don't know. I got to figure out what I'm gonna do first. Hopefully, it's for something good. I'm gonna be like Nate was the first black man to die in a shark attack or something.
Okay, don't know. You probably are the first.
Right? Because black people don't swim.
Oh,
But
that's a stereotype.
I know I'm joking. I swim.
No, just kidding.
I swim. It is a stereotype, but there's history behind that.
Yeah, there is.
Anyway.
We'll cover that on another episode.
We done got way off track.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we have. Sorry, let's reel it in today, guys. Sorry.
But shout out to our wonderful friends in Cincinnati
Yes.
for sending in that Menace moment. Yeah, we're gonna get started talking with our main man Garrett.
Yes.
Should I go through all the names again?
You missed a few though. You got G Unit, you got
I
G
said
Money,
G-Unit.
Oh, we didn't get G Money.
you got G Diddy, G
Oh.
Dep.
Okay.
Man, that's what my coach used to call me, is G Diddy. Ever since then, it's been
G-Diddy,
a
that's-
part of me.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Premium G.
I think I'm
Man.
partial to G string though.
No.
Man.
I'm voting no for that one.
If someone
Okay.
calls me that on the streets, man, I'm gonna know where it came from.
Okay. But Garrett,
Man.
why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit? Tell the listeners who you are, and kind of why you are here on the podcast today.
Man, well, like I said in the beginning, my name is Garrett. I was born in Chicago, grew up down here in Utah after I got adopted. I grew up in Kearns, what I feel like is the only semi-normal place in Utah, but it is what it is, Grew up playing football, got injured, kind of ended that. Now I'm, just doing what I gotta do, trying to make it in this world, right? Trying to get up, do it, just be successful. That's what I'm up to.
There you go.
You know what I
Period.
mean?
Good stuff. And are you in barber school right now? Is that what I see?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. If you want to come see me, I'm at Paul Mitchell in Provo. I need some
Okay.
people.
Per.
That's what's up.
I need people to cut up, man. And I'm actually nice. Check my Instagram. It's called G Cuts 801.
All right.
Just check that out.
Okay. Putting in the plugs. We like it. We like it.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, I got my barber already and my hairline. Yeah, I got
Man,
it.
you gonna come see me? Just
You know
wait
how
on
that
it.
is.
Yeah,
That
look.
commitment.
If once
That's
you get out of
serious.
Paul Mitchell, once you graduate,
Yeah,
then
no,
I'll
for
come
sure.
see
No,
you.
no,
He
no.
said you need a
I ain't
license.
finna trust my hairline to
He
this. My
said
hairline is
you just
sacred.
learning.
Yeah, I'd be the only one. I'll be the only one touching it though. So
For
it's
real?
like
All
you
right,
you
all
got
right.
faith in me. I'm trying to get our boy Andre to come through. He said
I got
he would.
faith in you, but I don't know if I have faith in your hair cutting ability yet. I have to see it first.
Check
I
my
haven't seen it.
Instagram.
I'll check it.
Yeah,
I'll check it.
come
Once
on.
I see it, then we
I,
can
I
talk.
love black people. They're very candid about that. They will not.
Mhm.
They don't care about your feelings. They're like, no, I'm not
Right.
coming for you for my.
Yeah.
Yeah,
feelings.
I mean, don't get me wrong though. I don't trust some of my homies to cut my
Yeah, I
hair.
feel
So
you, yeah.
I get it.
Mhm. It took me a couple years before. If you go back and look, well, I don't know if I have posted them. Maybe I should. I'll just post the progression of my hairline.
I can't even talk, man. My shit was bad.
All right, check out my Instagram later on. I'm gonna post the
All right.
progression of my
know.
hairline from then until now, so y'all can see how long it took me to find a good barber.
And if I'm going to be honest, as a black woman, I was just telling Nate's wife this actually last week. I judge people's hairlines as a black man. If your hairline is messed up, I'm so sorry. I'm going to say that. And that takes off points of attraction. This sounds petty. I'm so
Nah,
sorry.
I mean,
It's a self-care thing. It's a part of grooming,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So
what it is.
just like for anybody, there are certain standards of grooming. We expect people to shower and not stink. We expect people to to
Oh.
keep their feet clean.
And
More on that,
for
stuff
me,
like that. Just the basics.
as a black man, if your
Yeah.
hairline looking, I'm gonna be like, what's going on?
The hairline is essential. And now there are some people who just don't know. For instance, growing up, I didn't know. My dad made me shave my head every
This is
2
true. Nate
weeks.
grew up in a different environment.
Right. My dad was in the military, and so he just shaved my head every 2 weeks. And then when I got old enough to cut my own hair, he made me shave my head every 2 weeks. And so I grew up with a busted hairline. But then when
Well, look, he knows
when I
better
got to
now.
college, yeah,
We're
exactly.
traumatized. So it's
I
cool.
learned. I grew from this. And so, yeah, black men, take care of your hairlines.
Anyway,
Because black men are watching. Black women are watching.
black men too.
Black
Yeah.
people are watching.
Watching,
Black people are
period.
watching. See, I'm learning. I'm still
Yes.
learning.
They're gonna jump down your
Mhm.
throat for the littlest mistake. I'm telling you, they're gonna be on you. Best believe.
Mm.
Okay, Nate.
Yeah, so
Take us away.
So you said you were born in Chicago, you were adopted and grew up in Kearns.
Yes, sir.
What was your experience growing up in Utah? So first of all, just to be clear, the family that adopted you, are they a white family?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So what was it like growing up? We call it transracial adoption.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up as a transracially adopted kid in Utah?
Man, where to start, man? I'm gonna be honest with you. It was for me, with the circumstances that I had, my parents actually they did their best.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And growing up, Kearns is more diverse, but long story short, we moved out of Kearns, then we moved back to Kearns because that's the area we liked, and it was cool, man. My parents did the best they could. The way they approached it was they put me in positions to learn, and if
That's
I wanted
good.
to learn,
That's good.
that was up to me. I got to make that choice. And there were
Okay,
some
okay.
things I did want to learn, and at a time, being an ignorant kid,
Mhm.
it was hard though growing up. I didn't see another African American until I was in 8th grade. I
Oh, my-
swear.
Yo.
I swear,
What?
man.
You didn't see
It
another black person until you were in 8th grade.
No,
No, you
I
mean
had
like in person, right?
Yeah, but still.
obviously.
But African American though.
I
I
see what you're saying.
I had a homeboy growing up who was African, but
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, but we became good friends for a little bit, but just because hey, this guy looks like me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ain't seen that before, and I looked up to his stepdad, which was kind of cool on certain things, what he did. So that I feel like seeing him kind of helped me as a person and grow as a man, seeing how he was moving,
Mhm.
But it was hard all throughout school. It was hard trying to find a sense of identity,
Yeah.
Mm.
like someone you can look up to in person. That's not like, of course, I have my idols on the internet, famous people, actors,
Mhm.
people like that. But
Yeah.
it's different when you can't see that in real life. You know what I mean?
It
Yeah.
definitely is, yeah.
And it was rough. But at the end of the day, I am who I am. My parents did the best they could,
There you go.
and it's like I think they did pretty good compared to some of the other kids I've seen. Man,
I'll say so. Yeah, you seem like
Look,
a deep dude. I always appreciate talking with you.
man,
Yeah.
I
And-
appreciate that, man.
And I didn't even know you were adopted by white people until right now.
For real.
Yeah, which this is gonna sound bad, but normally in Utah you can tell. Like,
Mhm.
it's pretty obvious to me
Yeah.
the way they act. But like, there's been you were the second black person who I met in Utah who was adopted by someone from Utah and raised here, and I didn't know they were transracially adopted
Yeah.
Yeah. And
until
That's
like
an accomplishment.
until they told me.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so like, I sorry, that's getting off into a lot of different things.
no,
But
I mean you ain't wrong. I mean, it's mostly because in Kearns, it was more like I grew up with a lot of Africans, and some of those
Mhm.
Africans, they was doing what they did, and just growing up with them, and also going to high school playing sports with them, and that just kind of developed my personality a little bit.
and that definitely helped.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
and playing football especially, man. If I didn't play football, I would be a lot different. Let me tell you that.
I believe it. I believe
know
it.
what I
And jumping into what you said, Rachel, with you being able to tell when someone is transracially adopted in Utah, I think
I don't mean that as an insult, by the way.
right, of course. That's what I'm going to jump into. It's not meant as an insult or anything like that. It's just to say that there is a bit of they have a different lived experience. And we kind of touched on this a little bit in a previous episode where we talked about how certain people's lived experiences with blackness is a lot different than other people's, especially for people who grow up inside of Utah. There are a lot of amazing families who adopt children outside of the race that they are, who give those children wonderful experiences. However, I also personally know a lot of people who are children of transracial adoptive relationships who were abused or who were treated in a certain way that was detrimental to them in a mental health way, or they were separated from their culture because
Yeah.
Yep.
there's a lot of the idea that, oh,
can think
I
of
don't
two.
see color, I'm not someone, one of the friends that I was talking to said that a parent who had adopted a black child, a white parent who adopted a black child, said, oh, I'm not raising a black child, I'm raising a child.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
like,
like,
that's a
no.
right. That's a wonderful ideal. However, it doesn't work because you are raising, in fact, a black child, and there's a difference in how a black child is going to be treated versus a white
Right.
child.
Period.
And there's a difference in how a black child is going to develop, in regards to their proximity to, what am I trying to say? A black child is going to develop differently in a community of all white children.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and not
Um,
acknowledging their race is a disservice to them because even though you might, try your best to air quote be colorblind, which is not a thing,
Man.
and try to treat them as a human, which is important, right? And recognize their humanness and them as an individual, but also that is not how the world works. That is not how society works. We are all socialized racially, and to ignore that is being, to me, ignorant to the realities of life, and it's being ignorant to what will be their lived experience as a black person. And even though you don't understand that, even the acknowledgement that it's going to be different than what you had
mhm.
is really, really important from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No.
Garrett, you can talk more about this
No, I
than
mean,
us, but
No, y'all said some good stuff, man. Like, I wanted to jump into what Nate said and about people adopting people who have no business adopting a black kid. It's like, I actually went to this little camp thing up in Denver. I remember you hit me up. Yeah. So I was up there, and I was looking at some of the parents, and in my mind, I'm just like, you guys have no idea what you're doing.
wait, what camp thing was this? Elaborate on what this is a little bit. I'm sorry,
I'm not going. I ain't going to
Okay.
throw anyone under the bus, but it was like, it was like a adoption camp, like a bunch of adoption. If you are a black kid and you're adopted, you can come to this camp.
Oh, I see.
It's kind
Okay.
of one of those things.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm looking at some of the parents and seeing some of these kids. I was like, you guys are so far gone. Like, why did you adopt a black kid if you weren't going to do your research? You got kids walking around with nappy head. You got girls whose braids is all busted up. You feel me? And it's
Not
like
the braids busted up.
and you know what I mean? It's just like looking at it.
We talked about this too. Hair is sacred.
Man.
Yep.
In the black community.
And some people, yeah, exactly. It all ties back into that. But even with all that, it's crazy because you think that they would want to do their research.
Mhm.
You would think that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And granted, my parents didn't do research, but they put me in positions where I could do my own research. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just those kids, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really mess with the adopted community like that. I'm gonna just be straight up honest with you.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because some of
Tell us
those
why.
kids, man, I was looking at like, you guys are so far gone. There ain't nothing I can do. Well, for what y'all, man.
Can you like define or like break down what you mean by so far gone?
Like how you were saying, they was like, they was raising them as they were to be white.
Mm.
And, and my mom acknowledged that too. She was like, she was telling me, like, why are all the kids south of here so weird? And my mom's the sweetest lady. If you know my mom, you know she would never say something like that. And then my dad said, yeah, we've seen some other adopted kids and they were raised right. We didn't want that for you. You know what I mean? And it's like, shout out to my parents for not wanting that for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
that's a difficult conversation that a lot of people are not willing to have, right? There's probably a lot of people are going to hear this podcast and be uncomfortable talking about this, but this is a really important conversation to have. We appreciate you coming on because you're so direct with things.
yeah,
Yes,
you don't
we
mince
appreciate
words.
it. Yes.
I love it. You're always just like straight to the point and you be saying stuff and I'm just like,
and my daddy said my mouth's gonna get me in trouble one day.
Don't worry, mine
Yeah.
too.
That's-
My
Man.
dad said the same thing.
I ain't happened yet though. So
Right.
I'm waiting for it though. We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
hey, you know what? This is the mouthiest people. They're the ones that get stuff done. Look
Period.
at Fred Hampton. I always
Well,
said Fred Hammond.
well, also look at where he is now.
That's what I was. I didn't want to say it.
Right.
I didn't want to say it, but they
The people
That's
in
very
power
true.
Google it. Just
Mhm.
Google it.
get upset.
That is true. Very true. So yeah.
So Garrett, I wanted to ask, what was maybe like the dynamic between you and your parents growing up? I know you said that they were really good about, I say kind of facilitating an opportunity for you to learn about African American culture and things like that. But what were maybe some of the difficult moments you had, or any tough conversations that you've had to have with them, that you've had as like being transracially adopted? Because I know that that's part of it too. That your parents just they
Right.
don't know your lived experience, and you have to kind of break down some things
Right.
sometimes for them.
I'm gonna first I want to start off by saying, just because I just want to say this, break the stereotype. Just cause a kid is adopted, don't mean his life's perfect. You feel me?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to say that right now. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I've lived a relatively good life, but there have been some things that's happened that that still haunt me to this day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even things that we went through, or I went through personally, that I was involved with, or whatever, and it was tough. I ain't gonna lie to you. My parents were always willing to talk, but looking back on some of the conversations, I'm looking at like, you didn't handle that in the right way that would have helped me. Well, hang on, I don't think you handled that the right way, looking back on it, with how I am now compared to then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, looking back on, I know they didn't know what they was doing sometimes, you know, but I can't even lie. I've had a relatively good life. Most of my problems have been from me and my personal, living life.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
That's what it was for me, man. It was like, that's what it was for me. I can't say for anyone else.
Yeah.
But, I've had my struggles. I'm adopted. I've had a relatively good life, but doesn't mean that I ain't been through some stuff or seen some stuff or done. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what I'm trying to get at. You feel me? It's like, that's what it is.
I get that. Yeah. The same thing again, talking to some of my friends who were adopted. That was one thing I actually was just learning about this the other day. They were saying, people often think that like what this person was saying was they gaslight you when you're adopted. They tell you, oh, you should be happy to be here.
Yeah, like be grateful.
Exactly. Be grateful that you're here, that you have this family and things like that. And this was someone who was terribly abused right, growing up, mentally, emotionally, physically, verbally, like all those things, right? But they were constantly being told, oh, be grateful to be here. So that's such an important thing, because I had never thought of that. I had never even realized, like, I just figured, when you're adopted, things are good. In my head, I realized that wasn't true, but it just, like, I never made that connection.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that, for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to say or share. I wanted to ask, just because I've never really asked somebody who was trans or racially adopted this, and maybe your experience was different because you grew up with people who were African, but what was it like kind of starting to interact with large groups of African Americans for you, right? Kind of like being introduced to like the Black community and like seeing that and experiencing that. I wonder, because I don't know, like, was that scary? Was it different because you just didn't grow up with it?
Right.
Or how was that experience for you, kind of like starting to immerse yourself in the Black community once you like got older and kind of moved away from home?
Honestly, like, looking at it now that I have African American friends, it's like the Africans and African Americans, they share a lot of the same things. People don't really think that, you know what I mean? We all listen to the same rap music. We kind of, we all wear retros most of the time. You know what I mean?
Not the retros.
Yeah, you feel me? But it's just like, so it wasn't really that different or that difficult. It was more like, I just felt like I was around people who could understand me more, because, like the Africans and African American experience are two totally different.
Very
things.
different, yeah.
So it's like, you know what I mean? So it was hard for me to connect with certain people on that level. So it was always like I was kind of an outsider. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, and they showed me love though. Don't get it wrong. I love.
Right.
They always showed me love. Some of them are lifelong friends. You know what I mean? And they're my brothers for life. But it's like, them they know what I'm about. They know how I get down. But it's like the people who it's the people who you think would connect with you the most, though, that don't understand you. That I've realized. You know what I mean? So it's always like, and they see me, you know, it's like I'm gonna talk about both point of views, but for the Africans, it's like I was already an outsider anyway because I'm African American.
Yeah.
So they had a different view of me already, and then when they learned I was adopted, it all changed too. You know what I mean? But they still showed me love, and you know, I was friends with a lot of them for most of my life, and I still am friends with them, most of them. But then when I go to the African Americans, it's like they would just show me different kinds of love. You know what I mean? Like
when we first met you, didn't you stay at my apartment for like a night or something like that? I know I first met you when you were like 17.
Yeah, we met at
Is that Genesis or was it at the Blackout?
It was the
What year was
the
this?
Blackout. This
It was
was like
Blackout.
this was like 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
So I was like a sophomore when we was doing all
2018.
that.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, you were like 17 when I first met you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a blackout. I had organized, me and some friends, we had organized a bunch of events, and one of them was a blackout where basically like 40 black people showed up to church. And we just all went to the same ward, and we scared the hell out of them people.
Oh, I didn't go to that. I came to the Genesis after that.
Okay.
I didn't go to that one.
Okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. But anyway, yeah. So that's how we met originally, is in there. But yeah. And so you say you felt like you got showed like a different kind of love?
Elaborate on what you mean by that. Like in a good way or bad way?
In a good way, like
You can say negative too. It's okay.
Oh,
like
yeah, no, for sure. I'm gonna get into that. But
okay.
You know what I mean? I got plenty of that
Oh.
for both sides. But with the African Americans, it's like I didn't feel like an outsider to them. So they embraced me fully.
Okay.
You know, every African American I met, you know, they all showed me the same kind of love. Like they fully embraced me for, you know, and then it's like looking at them, I guess they kind of see me and them because we both black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how if you're black out there, you know what I mean by that. But
Yeah, like Black American.
yeah.
Yeah.
And with all that, it's I personally don't think there's the only difference is cultural. That's really it.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're listening to the same rap music or hip hop, you kind of grill the same stuff. You know what I mean? It's love all the way around. You know what I mean? That's mostly what it is. The negatives is just, you know, you get roasted a lot for being, you know, African American and adopted. There was some people got on my head, and at the time I was like, you know, it was crazy, man. I was looking at some of them at the same time, and I remember one of them they kept roasting me about that, and they told me that I was an Oreo. If you're out there and you adopt, you probably heard that. Or
Yeah.
I got that too. Yeah, you white.
I mean, I'm not adopted, and I've gotten that too.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
that's kind of what it was, though. That was the one thing. That's my Achilles heel. That's what they had on me. You feel me? And all I had on them was just. Yeah, I ain't gonna say it on here. Never mind. I ain't gonna say it.
Oh man. Okay, cool. So now that you are I guess now that you're an adult, you're out of high school and everything, what is it that's keeping you in Utah? What makes you want to stay here as opposed to going somewhere else?
I don't want to stay here. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Especially because I'm not around where I grew up. I'm only here because barber school, and I don't have the finances yet to travel where I want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
Because I got a plan right now, because the way the barbering licenses go, you got to have it transferred from state to state. You might have to do a little extra hours. You know what I mean? So depending on how that goes, that depends on how long I'm finna stay here, how long I'm finna be around. If it goes through, that's great. If not, I'll probably move down to further down south or something. You know what I mean? Be closer to the border, so I can at least go to Vegas and, you know, see some normal people for a little bit.
Period.
You know what I mean?
I feel that. Okay. All right.
Or Mesquite, if you know.
Oh, not Mesquite. This is kind of a small town, though. Yeah.
Yeah, they ain't a whole lot. It's like a casino and hotels and gas stations.
Driven through on occasion. All right. Good stuff. Well, man, I think that's about all we got. Man, appreciate you coming on the show.
Man, appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here, being willing to share your experience.
Oh, I did want to ask one more thing.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
I'm having like brain fog, guys. I work at home, and so my brain just takes a lot of time to go sometimes. But I know that we had talked about like being in the church and whatnot. And I know you're not active right? I don't know if I can say
Hell
that.
no, I ain't
Okay.
active.
So
What do I look like? I've woken up. I ain't
period. Not
young
I've
no
woken
more.
up. I'm crying. Okay. So if you just want to share quickly before we end out, kind of why what kind of led you to feeling that way, and like just like with your blackness in the church and anything you want to speak on that, because I always love to hear other black people's perspective and opinions on being in the church, not being in the church, and being black. So take that where you
share
want.
with us, Brother Whiting.
Let me
However
tell
you
you
want to
something.
take that, you can take it.
First off, I just want to say this. I'm gonna go on a little rant here. I'm gonna say what I
Okay.
got. Listen, I'm gonna say this right now. Mormons are some of the fakest people you will ever meet. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I'm crying.
And if you live in Utah, you know
If
what
you're
I'm talking
seeing
about.
The live video.
Yeah, if
you
you're
can
seeing
see
the live
Nate's
video-
Nate's face right now.
If the all right, so like I said, Kearns is one of the very few normal places in Utah. When I was active in the church in Kearns, you know, they treated me with love. I'm still friends with some of them to this day. Like I still talk to them. You know what I mean? We still good. But my old ward when I was in West Jordan, I don't talk to none of them like that. You know what I mean? They didn't care. One of them blocked me on Facebook because he's a, you know, can I cuss on here, man?
Keep it limited
you know what I'm
to
saying? He was,
level 1 swear words.
yeah.
If you do swear,
man, I'm gonna tell y'all something, and it's like, you know, it's whatever. But my looking back on all the time I spent wasting my time with that, it's looking at it and looking back, I'm like, I should have just been doing what I'm doing now this entire time. It's like the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon. It's like, watch the Salamander Letters on Netflix. I'm gonna tell y'all something. They were willing to pay that much to lock it away. What they got going on, man?
Murder Among the Mormons?
No, the Salamander Letters.
Oh, there's a different one.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
okay.
is.
Watch it on
ignorant.
Netflix. I'm telling you.
Okay.
And
Because there's one called Murder Among the Mormons, and it's about the guy who wrote those letters.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Salamander.
Where he like blew somebody up.
I don't
and all
know.
that stuff?
Yeah. That's what I'm
that's the
talking
one.
about.
Mhm.
Watch that.
Murder Among the Mormons. That show is crazy.
After I seen that, I'm like, okay, what else they hiding? You know what I mean? And
Interesting.
I realized with that, you know, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna drop some knowledge on y'all. Hang on a second.
Nope.
I'm gonna tell y'all something. Think about it like this. There's God, right? He's the highest. There ain't nothing above God. You know what I mean? Why should I listen to a person, a man, even who was appointed by God, if man is wicked? You know what I mean? Listen to him. Man is all wrong. Why do I gotta listen to anybody? My relationship is between me and the highest. You know what I mean?
Period.
That makes
It's
sense.
like there's no middleman between that. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's what comes first. I feel like a lot of times we forget that.
In LDS
in
church.
the LDS church, there's a tendency to forget that it is God that comes first.
Right.
Yep.
And I think people tend to prioritize the words of the prophet and the church leaders.
Yep.
Yes.
And say, "Oh, this is what we need to be doing," and then they kind of disregard what God actually said, right? And so I think that there's
Exactly.
definitely a tendency to do that. So yeah, I feel where you're coming from on that for sure.
And if you're not religious, you know, whatever you believe in, just think about it though. If you don't, you know, just think of it. There's no one in between you and your religion or who or what you believe in.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like I believe in the highest. There ain't no one in between that. I never, even when I was active, I never believed in the Book of Mormon. It's like it was written by a man. Ain't none. It's like I know that God's real, you know what I mean? For what I believe, but there shouldn't be any middleman who's a man just like me. You know, man, there's humanness. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. We all do things we ain't proud of, but it's like, you know, the Mormons, they like to condemn you for that. It's like they always look it down on you for, you know, smoking or drinking. But you know, it's just like we human, we make mistakes. It's like God knows that. God knows we ain't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why should we be condemned by it from another man who of a position who you put in power, who another man put in power? And I'm not even a conspiracy theorist like that. You know what I mean?
Crying.
This is just something. This is just how I be feeling sometimes about that.
Yeah.
So is this how you've always felt, or is this something that's like become more recent? Like, is this something that you started feeling more recently, or have you always kind of been like of this mindset?
Well, I left at 13, like officially, and then I never really like officially rejoined.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But being 13, it's like hearing some of the people talk. I'm like, that's not how God works. You know what I mean? That's not how God works. I don't think that's how God works. God wants you to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
but try and keep his name in vain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's, I don't. That's what it was. That's how it is for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
gotcha.
So that's just how I be feeling. I ain't.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
respect,
it's-
man, because that's a
everybody,
big
yeah.
step to take at 13.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
be just aware of, I don't know, that's just being aware of the way that you were learning about a higher power at that age is powerful to me, because at such a young age, you're really, your worldview is shaped by your experience, right? And
Right.
what you're socialized around, and that shapes your reality. And really, a lot of people don't really question or think deeply about that until they're kind of in their after adolescence, right? When
Right.
they're becoming young adults, when they're on their own and they're kind of in the space to think past that.
Mhm.
So,
Man, I mean, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. You know, they ain't
amen.
there ain't nothing for that. I can say that proudly. But even with oh, I lost I forgot what I was gonna say. Hang on a second.
That's all good.
Yeah, what was it?
But yeah, so
Yeah, I don't
while
remember.
you're thinking of
Yeah.
it, we could talk about this. But I appreciate your sharing how you made this decision, and you kind of had these thoughts at 13. That's such a young age, right?
Right.
But just to kind of be aware of who God was to you and what you felt about God, I think is very important.
Yeah.
Going back to how we prioritize people over God, sometimes I think that's something that we
Yep.
really need to step into and focus on. I did the thing that's popular right now, ask me anonymous questions on
Oh yeah,
Instagram,
me too.
right?
Hopped on that trend real quick.
And somebody, it was the most random question they asked me, is God real? I'm like, I don't know why you asked me that. I don't know what made you think I'm like the spiritual authority
Yes,
on
come
things.
on.
But they said, is God real? And so the answer I put was basically, that depends on what you define as God, or who you define
Yeah, I
as
seen
God.
that. I seen that one.
And basically, do I believe that the westernized, like white man, greasy haired,
I'm not greasy hair.
okay, not greasy haired, but
I'm
long,
crying.
Lord, he didn't mean that.
long.
Lord, he didn't.
doesn't have look,
Yeah,
he doesn't have-
I know he didn't
his
mean
hair
that.
don't- anyway, you know what I'm trying.
The,
Anyway,
the depiction of him.
yes, the
Yeah.
depiction that we see of this white man with long hair, with blue eyes, with pale skin, who is homophobic and xenophobic and racist, and approves or believes in curses
I never heard that.
on specific people, and all those kinds of things. I don't believe that God exists, right? The God that I believe in is someone who said that the first law is to love the Lord,
Period.
your God. And then the second law is like unto it, to love your
Thy
neighbor
neighbor.
as you love
Mhm.
yourself, right? That's the God that I
Amen.
believe in.
Yep.
Me too.
I also believe in a God who grew up and who spent the first years of his life in Africa. So, probably wasn't pale skin. I believe that he was someone who was not overly concerned with appearance, was not overly concerned with trivial things, but was more concerned with who you were as a person. And kind of going
Mhm.
back to what you said, Garrett, about people being fake. We see.
Can I say something real quick on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one. Let me clarify. Not all Mormons.
Oh, of course,
you
not.
know,
Of course not.
We know you're not speaking in absolutes here.
but people, it's the internet. You feel me? But
Yeah.
it's like not all are bad. It's just
Mhm.
in my experience, Utah Mormons are some of the worst. You feel me? My
Yeah.
roommates
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
living with now, they're Mormon, but they're not. They didn't grow up in Utah County. They
Yeah.
seen
The world.
they seen the world. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I just wanted to clarify on that. And
No, yeah.
they're chill, man. Shout out to y'all if y'all see this, but
That's
I
factual.
like them,
That's factual. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing I think I'd add to that is, particularly in the LDS context, like the doctrine of the church is very centered on God being a loving heavenly Father, right, and a loving parent. And the older I get, and the more I learn about the gospel and the doctrine, like it really resonates with me that God is a loving parent, and a loving parent is going to do everything they can to assist you, to facilitate happiness for you, to give you love. And so what you were saying, Nate, that's the kind of God I know.
Right.
So
Mhm.
everything else that's kind of happened, and whether it be church history or the way that people interpret God to be or who he is for them, is confusing for me
Mhm.
personally. And when people act in ways that I don't feel like align with God being a loving parent, because I feel like, like I think about my mom. Like my mom, everything she does is out of love, and she would never do something or encourage things that would exclude groups of her children.
Yeah.
Right? You think about your parents. My parent would never. My mom would never do that. especially a perfect parent, right?
Yeah,
And we're thinking of the perfect parent, which God is.
Right,
He is
yeah.
never going. We know our parents on earth are imperfect and they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But a perfect parent is
And
going
they know
to always know how to include everyone. A perfect parent is going to know how to make sure everyone feels loved
Exactly.
and has a way to return to live with him in an appropriate way.
Straight
Well,
up.
so for me, that's just what I'm saying.
No, that-
we're
that's
using the
facts.
LDS
No.
doctrine and framework. Like, let's go with the beliefs and
No,
let's follow that.
exactly.
And so for me, it's confusing sometimes when people,
No,
Yeah.
and you ain't lying. With that, it's like that's why I didn't believe in like what the Book of Mormon was saying. It's like
Mm.
for me, I can only speak for me. I was reading the Bible and then I read the Quran a little bit. And it's like those two go together, more than the Book of Mormon does. It's like it was found in the Americas or whatever. It's like, but the Quran and the Bible both written in the Holy Land. You know what I mean? So it's like that to me makes more sense. And even at 13, I had some stuff going on. That's why I started researching that. And I was just like, it's like I just wanted to know who God really is. And from between those two, I've kind of forged my own opinion of, all right, this is what God does. God loves all. He understands us. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I saw it. You know what I mean? And I love Jesus, whoever he was, whatever, whether he died on the cross or he went to heaven unharmed. I love Jesus. Got him on my arm tattooed. What's up?
period.
There you go. That's what's up. And kind of even going off of that, the Bible says this is one thing that I'm like learning to reframe in my mind. Right, everything is so. I don't know. Everything is just. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to fix
Crazy.
this in my mind. Right, the Bible says we were created in God's image, male and female. Right, which means that if we're created in God's image, then there is a heavenly Father, there's a heavenly Mother. Right, this is something that we know, we just don't talk about.
Right.
So that's one thing I'm trying to work on in my head is that like, okay, there's heavenly parents, right? There's that first. And that's something that we need to accept as well, that it's not just a he, right? It's
Also
a he and a she, right?
It's a
Right.
they.
It's a they. That's exactly right. And with that, I've heard so many parents say you can't raise your children the same, right? We always hear you got to parent one child differently than you parent the other.
I
Yep.
believe that.
And so if you think about that, if that's the way we parent children on earth, then why would it be like, why would God make this, like, why would God make one way for all of his
And
children?
that's on period.
Right? Why would he make one
Yep.
way for all of his
Speak
kids?
on it.
Why would he not parent each child differently according to what they need?
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are going to be some things that
Yep.
remain specific. Like, in any household, there's going to be rules that every child has to follow.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
the way that you handle each child,
Come on.
when it comes to those rules, is going to be different, right?
Straight up.
Ooh.
And so that's why we have multiple ways of being a good person.
Yeah.
You've got Taoism, you've got Hinduism, you've got
Exactly.
Buddhism,
Yep.
you've got
Islam.
Islam, you've got
That is.
Christianity, you've got Catholicism, which I guess they count as separate. I don't know. That's
Yeah,
all
I
it
mean,
is.
different
it is.
denominations.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so you got all these different ways, and all of these ways are just ways that if you follow
Yep.
it, they're going to make you a better person. And they're
Exactly.
there's going to be basic rules that you follow.
come on.
That's what's
You're
important.
preaching right now.
And they all worship some kind that they all worship the highest.
Because
Yeah.
there's plenty of people who are the most active church members, not just in the LDS church, but in any religion.
Any religion,
Any
yeah.
religion's
It's
the
good
most
and the
active.
bad.
They'll go through all the motions,
Right.
say all the prayers, follow all the, read all the scriptures, and then still be doing the most horrible
Yeah.
things
Mhm.
behind closed doors,
Yeah.
right? So it's not about what you're. It's not about. It's about who you are as a person.
Yes,
It's not about what you're
and
doing necessarily. It's
Something
not about
my
appearances. Yeah.
something my ex said that
Oh, not the ex.
no, this what he would say. I'm bringing this up because it's not my idea. I can't take
okay,
credit
yeah.
for this idea
Mhm.
that I now believe is he said that God wants everyone back, right? Like at the end of the day, God wants all of his children to live with him. And so he knew that the world was going to be so diverse and so different, kind of what you were saying, Nate, that he needed to parent each child a little differently. And he created multiple ways almost for people to return to live with him that are going to be most comfortable and most accessible to them. And when he said that, I started thinking a lot about that, and it made a lot of sense to me that whatever helps you to be the best person that you can be is like really what you should follow at the end of the day, right? Like if Mormonism helps you to be the best person you can be, live that, do that.
Exactly.
If Catholicism helps you to be the best person you can be, live that,
Exactly.
do that. If no religion helps you to be that person, like
Yeah,
live
yeah.
that, do that. But just at the end of the day, it's all about helping you to be a good person, to live with God. And that's kind of big thinking. But
that's great.
No,
when I
that's
heard that,
perfect.
I was like, wow, I had never thought about that. And ever since then, it really makes a lot of sense. And it helps me sometimes to calm anxieties,
Yep.
almost of sometimes
Exactly.
feeling like it has to look a certain way or go a certain way. But really, you can, there's no one way it has to go, because really, at the end of the day, if it's helping you to be a good person, to be more like Christ, if
Yeah.
you believe in him, or more like God, and just be a good person and follow humanism almost,
Yeah.
like
Mhm, yeah.
The
that's
humanism.
what works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you saying straight facts. That's everything you're saying is
I couldn't take credit for that idea. 'Cause
no,
it didn't
you
come from me.
elevate. That's elevating my thinking. You, as far as I know, you said it. You feel me?
Okay,
I ain't gonna give
period.
correction to
Thank
that.
you.
Feel me? Come on now. You know what it is.
Good stuff. All right. Well, now we're gonna wrap it up.
Yes.
Yeah,
15 minutes after the original.
But that's okay.
Yeah, this was a great discussion. We learned a lot. We
Yeah.
talked about transracial
Yeah, straight
adoption. We
up.
talked about religion. We talked about God.
We hit it all. We got it
Yeah,
all.
this was a great
We
episode.
hit it
Thank
all,
you.
man.
Thank
Man.
you for coming on the podcast today.
You might need to bring me
Garrett.
back
You
on.
really,
I need to get back on
season
here.
2.
For sure.
Yeah, just let me know, man. We only do premium content. This is going on the Patreon too.
Oh, okay.
Remember that? You feel me?
All right.
I love that he's
That's
alright.
why
Yes.
They call me Premium G, man. Look it up. That's my Instagram. Premium G
That's
_
what it
88.
is. Uh-huh.
We all I do is premium stuff out here, man. Come
There you
on.
go. Follow
Period.
Garrett. He also got a little career as a model going on, right? You said
Per.
Yeah, if you're a photographer, hit me up. Like I said, Premium G 88 on Instagram. Look it up.
There you go. Look up my man. And be sure to follow us on all platforms at Black
Yes.
Menaces, The Black Menaces. If you just type it in, you'll find it. And for some reason, I don't know why people be having a hard time spelling menaces.
I know.
But low-key, when they ask me, I don't know how to spell it either.
Well,
No,
for me, I'm always
at
like
least you're
men
honest.
aces.
Men aces,
Yeah.
exactly.
At
Yes.
least you're honest.
Black Men Aces.
Yes.
On all platforms.
yes.
And then follow us on the Patreon. Subscribe to us on Patreon at the Menace Society.
Yep.
Yep.
We look forward to having y'all on there. And please be patient with us. We're still building up the Patreon. We're new to all of this. But get ready for some exclusive content, fun stuff, discounts and all that kind of good stuff. And
Yeah.
email your menace moments to the Black Menaces Podcast at gmail.com. Email them to blackmenacespodcast at
There you go.
gmail.com. There's no the. I always
Just
mess
black.
that up. Black Menaces Podcast
Mhm.
at gmail.com. Email your menace moments, questions, comments, concerns.
Or reach out if you would like to be featured on the podcast, and
That too.
we would be more than willing to set up an interview with you. So thank you. You don't have to live in Utah for that. We have capabilities to get you anywhere.
It's called technology.
Period. So thank you guys so much for joining us today on the podcast, and we will check in with you guys next week.
Peace. Outro music fading away.
When press this.